Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Muna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Muna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Shri Radhe Jaya Gora Nitai 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 Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopalnathji Jaya Gopal Jaya Nrsimhadev 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 Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Ananta Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paribrajakacharya Astutarasata Shishimad Shilabai Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak here on this, what do you call it, the Day of the Greatest Gratitude? Day of the Greatest Gratitude. You can see all the residents of Vrindaban here taking shelter under the Govardhan Hill. They're expressing so much gratitude to Krishna. So thank you so much for inviting me. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, text number 45. The appearance of Lord Varaha. Savai bata brasta matis tavaisate. Savai bata brasta matis tavaisate. Yak karmanam param apara karmanaha. Karmanam param apara karmanaha. Yad yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. Yad yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. Vishvam samastam bhagavan videhisam. Vishvam samastam bhagavan videhisam. Savai bata brasta matis tavaisate. Bata brasta matis tavaisate. Yak karmanam paramapara karmanaha. Karmanam paramapara karmanaha. Yad yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. Yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. Vishvam samastam bhagavan videhisam. Samastam bhagavan videhisam. Please chant. Savai bata brasta matis tavaisate. Guna yoga mohitam. Vishvam samastam bhagavan videhisam. Savai vata rasta matis tavaisate. Yakarmanam paramaparaka. No, I do that before I chant. Nitsam samastam bhagavan videhisam. Samastam Bhagavan Videhi Sam. Vaishnavis? Avai bata brasta matista vaisate. Karmanam param apara karmana. Yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. Stam Bhagavan Videhi Sam. Sa, he, by, certainly, bata, alas, brastamati, nonsense, tava, your, asate, desires, yak, one who, karmanam, of activities, param, limit, aparakarmana, of one who has unlimited activities, yet, by whom, yoga, mystic power, maya, potency, guna, modes of material nature, yoga, mystic power, mohitam, bewildered, vishvam, the universe, samastam, in total, Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Videhi, just be pleased to bestow, Sam, good fortune. Translation. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Mental speculators who want to understand the limit of the unlimited are certainly nonsensical. Every one of them is captivated by the external potencies of the Lord. The best thing for them is to surrender unto Him, knowing Him to be inconceivable, for thus they can receive His causeless mercy. This prayer was offered by the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems, namely the Jana, Tapas, and Satyalokas, who are far more intelligent and powerful than humans. Vishvam Samastam is very significant here. There are the material world and the spiritual world. The sages pray, both worlds are bewildered by your different energies. Those who are in the spiritual world are absorbed in your loving service, forgetting themselves and you also. And those in the material world are absorbed in material sense gratification, and therefore also forget you. No one can know you because you are unlimited. It is best not to try to know you by unnecessary mental speculation. Rather, kindly bless us so that we can worship you with causeless devotional service. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Dadati Sapadantikam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Swasyastu Visvasya Kalo Prasidatam Danyantu Bhutani Shivam Mitodiya Manascha Badram Bhajata Dadhoksaje Aveshatam no Matirapya Hoituki. Thank you again for inviting me. And before I begin to share some thoughts on this verse and purport, I wanted to mention a couple of things. One little story. And did any of you know that Srila Prabhupada's own son, he named Vrindaban Chandra? Prabhupada named his own son was named Vrindaban Chandra. So that's something very beautiful. And another little story I wanted to share is that the very first devotee who came in London was named Kulashekar Prabhu. And he was the one who was always competing with Radhanath Swami in sandesh making. And finally, ultimately, Radhanath Swami's sandesh defeated his sandesh. But anyway, he was living in London, and it was quite famous that Prabhupada said that that London Ishwara was the most beautiful deity in all of ISKCON. So everyone knew that. And so but Kulashekar was serving there, and then he came to New Vrindaban, and he was serving here for some time. So he spoke to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I know that you said that London Ishwar is the most beautiful Krishna, and I really want to align my thinking with your thinking, but since I've been here in New Vrindaban, I just keep thinking that Vrindaban Chandra is the most beautiful Krishna in all of ISKCON. And Prabhupada said something really wonderful. He said, yes, London Ishwar is city beauty, and Vrindavan Chandra is village beauty. And he said, and of the two, village beauty is higher. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, so I forgot to say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So here in this beautiful verse and purport, this chapter is the appearance of Lord Varaha. So I wanted to speak about wonder and amazement in this class because we're hearing these sages from the highest planets of the universe, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, they're far more intelligent and powerful than humans. So we're hearing their prayers. They're great realized residents of the topmost planets in the universe. And they're amazed at the wonderful appearance and activities of Lord Varaha. Lord Varaha, in case, if anyone's new here, Lord Varaha is the appearance of the Lord who comes as a boar. So he has like a very boar-like snout, and he picks up the earth planet from the bottom of the universe where the earth had fallen down to the bottom of the universe. So that pastime's described in this chapter. It's a wonderful chapter. I know my husband, Anuttama Prabhu, this is his favorite pastime. He loves Lord Varaha because he does communications, so he always feels like this is the work of communications, to lift up the earth from the waters of devastation. So this is a great favorite of his. So yeah, they're super intelligent, most powerful, and they're just in awe, right? They're amazed. They're in a state of wonder, and they feel so purified by the drops of water that have been sprinkled on their bodies while Lord Varaha is like shaking off. And they're amazed at how he delivered the earth, which was, so Lord Varaha jumped into the ocean and divided the ocean in two and found the earth lying at the bottom of the ocean and picked it up on his tusks like this. And then the earth became his wife because he touched her. she became his wife. They had a child. So all of this is very wonderful and very mystical. So yeah, just like an elephant would pick up a lotus in the previous verses, just like an elephant might pick up a lotus flower in a river. So he picked up the earth, just like that, just like a lotus flower. So they're amazed by this. They're amazed by how he accepted the earth as his wife, and how he killed the demon Hiranyaksha just like a lion kills an elephant. And this is the state of spiritual consciousness, a state of being amazed, right? A state of wonder. In Sanskrit, there's a beautiful Sanskrit word called chamatkar, which means amazement, astonishment. And I was thinking that the great Socrates said that a sense of wonder or of being amazed is the beginning of knowledge. Isn't that interesting? So here's like one of the greatest scholars that ever lived. And he says, this is the beginning of knowledge, to be amazed, to have a sense of wonder. You know, like Prabhupada would sometimes say, an intelligent man, when he looks up at the sky and sees the stars, he wonders, oh, who has created all this beautiful majesty? So, yeah. So these residents of the higher planets are astounded, amazed, in a sense of wonder. So it was reminding me also of well, here we have this beautiful pastime enacted in the most amazing way here at New Vrindaban for all of us to see and try to enter into that beautiful mood. So yeah, the residents, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, if you read the Krishna book, every chapter, the residents of Vrindaban are just being amazed at wonderful Krishna. And if you look at these little residents around the bottom of the hill, look at their faces. They're amazed, right? They're just in a state of wonder. They're so amazed. So yeah, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, the gopis, this is kind of the normal baseline state of their consciousness, just being amazed, having a sense of wonder. And this is the Brijvasi spirit, as you all used to say here in New Vrindaban. Do you still say that around here? Brijvasi spirit? Might be something to start saying again. But there used to be a magazine, right? Brijvasi spirit. So this is the Brijvasi spirit, to be amazed, astonished, and just walking around in a sense of wonder at what? At wonderful Krishna. So, yeah, in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindaban, these pastimes of Krishna, like Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill, killing Kaliya, or chastising rather Kaliya, killing other demons, these pastimes happen again and again and again. And the residents of Vrindaban experience every one of these pastimes of Krishna as though they're seeing it for the very first time, right? I was talking to Victoria this morning, and she was saying, yeah, we just take so much for granted. We were looking at the animals on the swing. There's that amazing swing which was made here at New Vrindaban, which if you look at it, it's totally astounding. And then if you look at the chain that holds the swing, there are cows, peacocks, parrots, elephants. Everything is just astounding here at New Vrindaban. You can just look at these little, I think they're called festoons. They're amazing. How did they even make these, right? So, yeah, this is spiritual consciousness, to be amazed, astounded, and in a sense of wonder. I was thinking that there's a devotee, I forget his name, but anyway, he said he would like to see every moment as he walks through his day. He would like to see every moment the way he looked upon the face of his newborn son the first time he saw his newborn son. He would like to see every moment just like that, every day, every moment. Isn't that beautiful consciousness? Yeah. So sometimes it's said that grateful eye. So this is the day of, what is it? The greatest gratitude? This is the day of the greatest gratitude. The lifting, the celebration of Govardhan Hill. Everyone's astounded, right? So sometimes it's said that grateful eyes, or we could say awakened eyes, look at everything as though they've never seen it before, and listen to this, and caress it as though they would never see it again. Can you imagine? To caress each moment as though you would never see it again. So contrast that to our usual state of consciousness, generally dull, kind of blasé, jaded consciousness that, yeah, I heard that a million times. So what, right? I heard that story, so what? And then we just go on in this kind of dull state of consciousness, as though we're taking everything for granted, as Victoria pointed out to me this morning. So, another comparison is the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is called, that first chapter is called in Sanskrit, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which means the yoga of Arjuna's depression. Arjuna is every man, right? He's like us. He's depressed, he's bewildered, he doesn't know which way to turn, he's overwhelmed with grief. And so how does his depression become yoga? When he turns to Krishna for guidance and he expresses his confusion to Krishna, then he says, Shishasteham sadimam tvam prapanam. When he turns to Krishna and says, okay, no more friendly talks. I accept you as my teacher, please instruct me. And when he humbly turns to Krishna, inquiring as a disciple, and he stops pontificating as though he knows the way, he knows everything, and he's going to figure it all out by his own reasoning. He turns to Krishna. By turning to Krishna, his depression begins to transform into yoga. By fourth chapter Bhagavad Gita, by submissive inquiry and humble service mood, in that mood we can approach a spiritual master, spiritual teacher, a guru. So Arjuna becomes eligible in that way. And we also become eligible candidates to begin the path to seeing the truth, to begin the path to seeing wonderful Krishna with eyes of wonder and amazement, right? Just like these residents of Tapaloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka who are speaking here in this verse. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also points out some other contrasts, contrasting the unlimited wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord versus it's so charming, Prabhupada uses the word nonsense, right? The nonsensical living beings who think they can understand the limit of the Supreme Lord's potency. Sometimes he says frog-like philosophers, like the frog in the well thinks, oh, the ocean could be maybe 5 times bigger than my well, maybe 10 times, So frog-like philosophers feel like we're like that sometimes. We think, oh yeah, I heard that a million times, and I'm so bored, and whatever, that kind of consciousness, and we think we know the limit to Krishna's wonderfulness and Krishna's wonderful activities. Or here's another contrast that Prabhupada mentions in the purport, being captivated by the external potencies of the Lord versus surrendering to him, knowing his inconceivable and potencies and causeless mercy. So then here's another contrast, right? Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, in his depression, and then contrast Arjuna at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita to Sanjaya at the end of Bhagavad Gita. In the last few verses of the Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya is he's telling the recalcitrant King Dhritarashtra, who really just doesn't get it, right? So still, he's speaking Bhagavad Gita to this King Dhritarashtra who just doesn't get it, and still Sanjaya is rejoicing. He's amazed, right? He's telling King Dhritarashtra, and he's telling us that as he recalls this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, he's being thrilled at every moment. His hair is standing on end. And Sanjaya is in this state of wonder. And just try to picture this scene. It would make a beautiful play, actually, He's miles away from the battlefield. He's in the palace somewhere, and he's hearing and seeing the whole conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in what Prabhupada so charmingly calls the television of his own heart. Can you imagine that you have a television in your own heart. You don't have to go home and turn on NBC, CBS, and all that stuff. You can turn on the television in your own heart and see Krishna's pastimes, just like Sanjaya was seeing. If we want that. Krishna's not going to force us, right? If that's what we desire, if that's what we pray for, if that's what we long for, then Krishna will bless us with that kind of television. Otherwise, we can be satisfied with NBC, CBS, and all that, right? It's up to us. So Sanjaya is in ecstasy, and he's receiving Bhagavad Gita in his awakened heart. But it's so interesting to me because the person he's speaking to, the person he's conveying all this to, this King Dhritarashtra, doesn't get it. His heart is covered. He's blocked by ambition for the victory of his evil sons, and he can't really hear the message of Krishna. And Krishna explains this in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhogaishvarya Prashaktanam Tayaparita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Samado Na Vidiyate. That those people who are like King Dhritarashtra, who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and are bewildered by those things, that kind of resolute determination for devotional service just doesn't take place in their hearts, or maybe we could say in our hearts. So he couldn't catch that spirit, King Dhritarashtra, right? He couldn't catch that spirit of wonder. But Sanjaya, would we say that Sanjaya was a failure in trying to convey that sense of amazement and wonder to King Dhritarashtra? Was he a failure at trying to convey his sense of being thrilled at every moment as he's recalling this sacred conversation of Krishna and Arjuna? Well, if you look at the Ramayana, what about that story in the Ramayana? Could we say that Jatayu was a failure when he died trying to rescue Sita from Ravana? Was he a failure? No, he was totally glorious. His life became perfect by, that ultimate sacrifice for Lord Ram. So here Sanjaya is in ecstasy. He's repeating the words of Krishna. And as he's hearing them and seeing Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, and within his heart at the same time. So it's so interesting to me, he's not expecting or depending on reciprocation from the bewildered King Dhritarashtra. He's in communion with Krishna. It reminds me of this story I heard the other day that Gorkha Shardas Babaji Maharaj, who's one of our great-great-grandfather gurus, he's on the altar with Gaurnitai underneath their feet. So he was such a great devotee and pure, the highest level of Krishna consciousness, that he was very, very renounced, and he would live in a very renounced way. Once he was going to follow, as they say in India, his nature's call, and some naughty boys were throwing rocks at him as he was on his way out to the forest. And he was in such divine consciousness that these boys throwing rocks at him, he was saying, "You boys, if you don't stop throwing rocks at me," sorry, I got the story wrong. He said, "Krishna, if you don't stop throwing rocks at me, I'm going to have to tell Mother Yasoda on you." Can you imagine such consciousness? Imagine living in that kind of consciousness. So the point is, Sanjaya was not depending on reciprocation from King Dhritarashtra. He's in communion with Krishna, in ecstasy and in a sense of wonder. Sometimes it's said, expect nothing and live frugally on surprise. Do you like that? Expect nothing and live frugally on surprise. So this reminds me of a story of Socrates, who was very frugal. He never liked to buy anything. But he used to enjoy going to the marketplace, and he would go there and he would look around. And his students were really bewildered by that, and they asked him, "Why do you go to the marketplace? You never buy anything." And he said, "I really like to look at all the things I don't need." So expect nothing and live frugally on surprise. Or you could say, reduce expectations and increase appreciation. Be surprised, be amazed by wonderful Krishna. And do you think it's possible? I mean, do you think it's possible for us, ordinary American people? I mean, you know, all of us here, we came from different countries, but right now we're here and we're Americans, right? So can we also try to open our hearts and begin to hear and see with this sense of wonder and amazement? And where is my consciousness when I hear all this, you know? Yeah, you know, as Americans, compared to so much of the world, we're often so affluent, right? We have so much, and we're so entitled. And we suffer from a disease. You know, we're all worried about the flu, influenza, COVID. But what about this other more insidious disease called affluenza? Ever think about that? We tend to be so entitled, and that entitlement is like a cancer in our hearts that can be really, really toxic and kill our sense of gratitude and amazement. So that's why Srila Prabhupada recommended here in New Vrindaban simple living and high thinking, right? As opposed to high living and simplistic, foolish, nonsensical thinking. So it's better to appreciate things that we don't have than to have things that you don't or can't appreciate, right? You could have, like, ladies, right? You could have 100 saris in your closet and not even like a single one of them, right? Or guys, you could have 100 tools in your toolbox, or maybe 5 cars, and you don't even like them. You want a different one because your neighbor has a better one, right? This is the entitlement and the disease of affluenza. So how can we wake up each day and see the world as Krishna's and see it as sacred again and again every day? So by radical noticing, by looking for that sense of wonder, that amazement at wonderful Krishna and everything he's created all around us. And I want to say that this amazement or this sense of wonder is the foundation of all the other rasas with Krishna. Think about it, right? If you want to attain prema bhakti, you want to one day be a cowherd boy, or maybe a gopi, or maybe have a parental rasa like Nanda Maharaj or Mother Yasoda, where does all of that high stuff begin? It begins with a sense of wonder, the sense of amazement, a sense of gratitude. That this is the day of the greatest gratitude, right? So beautiful. So yeah, this is what I'm asking myself. I'm asking all of you: can we try to pray to Krishna, cry to Krishna to please help us to awaken this sense of amazement in our hearts as well, and try to wake up and try to enter into this famous Vrijbasi spirit, a sense of wonder, a sense of sweetness of wonderful Krishna, right? So here's a nice quote in the last paragraph. So there's a chapter in Krishna book, and the name of the chapter is Wonderful Krishna. Once Prabhupada said, he named those sweets Simply Wonderful, right? He said, your Krishna is wonderful, you are wonderful, your sweets are simply wonderful, everything's simply wonderful, right? So in the last paragraph of that chapter, which is called Wonderful Krishna, after hearing the praises of wonderful Krishna from Nanda Maharaj, and hearing from him all the predictions that Garga Muni had given, the cowherd men offer this beautiful benediction, and here's what they say. So let's accept this benediction upon all of our heads, right? On this day of the greatest gratitude. Let Krishna, who is so kind, beautiful, and merciful, protect us when angry Indra, see, you can see, angry Indra sent torrents of rain accompanied by showers of ice blocks and high wind. He immediately took compassion, Krishna immediately took compassion upon us and saved us and our families, cows, and valuable possessions by picking up the Govardhan hill, just as a child picks up a mushroom. He's saved us so wonderfully. May he continue to mercifully glance over us and our cows. May we live peacefully under the protection of wonderful Krishna. So here we have this most amazing life-size Govardhan Hill right here before our eyes here in New Vrindaban. How wonderful, right? We have this medium-sized Krishna. Prabhupada said Krishna is medium-sized. In his universal form, we don't really worship that form. That's not very lovable, right? But here he's medium-sized. So beautiful. So, so thank you all so much. These are a few thoughts about amazement and awakening a sense of wonder on the path of bhakti. And, as we hear from these residents of Vrindaban, the cowherd men, as we hear from these wise residents of the highest planets in the universe, what's their consciousness, right? They're being amazed by the extraordinary appearance and activities of Lord Varaha, who has so very kindly appeared in this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you all so very much. And do you have any reflections or takeaways? Or maybe there's some questions also. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful class. That was really
wonderful.
Nice. Yeah,
thank you for your wonderful appreciation for my nonsensical class.
That was nice. I really like this word you created, affluenza.
Affluenza.
It's really nice. I hope I don't suffer from that.
Yes.
Although it doesn't sound so bad. Out of all the diseases that you can have, it doesn't sound like one of the worst ones. I was just trying to reflect on that and feeling that is there sometimes maybe an opposition or like an opposite of this disease where you feel sort of like so impoverished that you don't have anything, and that actually Krishna owns everything, and that you don't have anything, and that you kind of yearn or want to have more because you have so little. And is this also a disease? And how do we overcome this one?
Well, spiritual consciousness means understanding that Krishna is mine, that everything else in this world comes as a gift, right? Our breath comes as a gift. Everything we have in this world, our house, our car, or whatever we have, it's all come to us as a gift. We didn't create any of it. So that's spiritual consciousness. But an impoverished consciousness, would be, to wake up in the morning thinking, I didn't get enough sleep. Or my kids don't respect me enough. My husband doesn't respect me. My wife doesn't respect me. I don't make enough at my job. They don't pay enough here at New Vrindaban. The earth isn't really giving enough anymore. They're chopping down so many trees. It goes on and on and on, right? There's not enough green space. That's an impoverished consciousness. So the point I made is that affluenza, or you could say affluenza is actually an impoverished consciousness. So the point you're making is, you're saying, is there a flip side to that, an impoverished consciousness? I'm making the point that affluenza is an impoverished consciousness. I want to share a story about Radhanath Swami from the journey home. When he went to Afghanistan, he had a culture shock, because here's we kind of grew up in America with the American dream, right? Whether our ancestors are German, Italian, or from here or there, or India, or anywhere, we come here and we think, the American dream, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you can, whatever you want, whatever you dream, you can get it, If you work hard enough, you can get it, right? So Radhanath Swami went to Afghanistan in part of his journey, and he saw that the people there had absolutely nothing, but they were so generous. He actually had a culture shock. It was like, well, wait, what about the American dream? What about, all this stuff we get, and it's supposed to make us happy? The washing machine and this and that and the newest car and, all of this stuff. But it doesn't. So that's the trick of Maya. Here's these people, they have nothing, and they're offering him a cup of tea on his journey. And he had actually had a culture shock. So, yeah, my point is that affluenza is not a small disease. It's a it's a cancer in our hearts. And it really kills our sense of gratitude. It kills our sense of wonder. When we're walking around in our lives with this disease, we're thinking like that, yeah, so what? I saw it 1,000,000 times, I heard it 1,000,000 times. You know, Krishna, well, maybe not. Maybe it's all mythology. I mean, come on. Somebody lifting a gigantic mountain with a baby finger of their left hand, come on. That's mythology. You know what I mean? It just makes our consciousness so jaded that we can't think, well, maybe, you know? I mean, there are miracles happening every day if we just open our eyes, but we don't open our eyes to see them. Anybody noticed a miracle lately they might want to mention? What's a miracle that you might have noticed, small or large? Yes? Wow. See, now that's a beautiful expression of appreciation and sense of wonder and gratitude. She said, that I ended up living at New Vrindaban. What do you say? Wow. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, wonderful Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
I don't think I need it.
No, for the recording. For the recording.
Okay. We're talking about getting wonder and amazed. For me, I'm born in India. I grew up seeing Hanumanji and Ganpati and Nrsimhadev and Varaha incarnation, and I'm born in that culture. But isn't it amazing how Prabhupada got that amazement to American people, and they really worshipping Giriraj, and they believing it, and they following Krishna consciousness? That's the biggest amazement I have.
That's the biggest amazement.
Prabhupada made all over the world people believing in Varaha incarnation, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nrsimhadev incarnation.
That's the biggest miracle.
That's a very big amazement for me, how he did.
Once somebody asked Prabhupada if he could show some miracles, some magic, and he just pointed to all of his disciples. He said, these are my miracles. So you're so right. You know, sometimes people in India who knew Prabhupada, sometimes they say, oh yes, we knew Prabhupada. You know, we were, helping him. You know, the fact is nobody, practically speaking, was helping him. And someone said, to be honest, everyone thought he was maybe a little bit, why is he talking? You know, he's 70 years old and he's talking about going to America. And maybe he's, why doesn't he just settle down like the rest of the elderly people in Vrindaban, chant and read and be peaceful and pass away in Vrindaban? Maybe he's a little, yeah, maybe he's a little eccentric. Even his godbrothers, they thought this instruction of Lord Chaitanya, that his name, that the Krishna's holy name would be spread all over the world. They thought it was some kind of poetry. They didn't take it literally. They thought it was some kind of allegory, some kind of poetry. Nobody really took it that seriously. But they're amazing stories of Bhakti Siddhanta. Can I tell one?
Yeah, sure.
Is it all right? Am I off schedule? Okay. So I'll tell a little story of Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. He was in a room with his disciples, senior disciples, sannyasis, and big preachers. And he was looking at each one of them and he's saying, which one of you will go to the West? I want one of you to go to the West. And then he focused on this one young man who was very, very successful in the preaching he was doing in some area of India. I don't know what it was. He focuses on this young man. He says, I think his name was Narottam-Ananda. He says, what about you, Narottam-Ananda? I believe that was his name. What about you? You're very successful. Why don't you take up this order and go to the West? And this young man who was really, really very successful, he was saying, no, Guru Maharaj, don't ask me to do that. I'm successful at what I'm doing here, but I know if I go there, I'll certainly fall down. Please don't ask me that. And, he's looking, Bhakti Siddhanta's, it's a very poignant story. He's looking around. Prabhupada, Abai Babu, right, was sitting in the corner. And Bhaktisiddhanta goes, that's all right, don't worry. Abai will do. We know. One day. And the big sannyasis are like, what? Who? What? You know, like, Abai? Babu? The householder? You know, householders are useless, right? We look at Jaya Krishna to find out if householders are useless. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, any other questions or takeaways or reflections? No? Yes, no. I think I think this man has something first, since you already spoke. Yeah. Thank you.
This microphone is wonderful. So,
one of Krishna's magical creations, right?
I know from experience and knowing people who will go to the Grand Canyon and are, you know, it's just experience wonder and amazement, and then they're not satisfied. So then they go to Egypt and see the pyramids, and then they go to India, and then they go here, and they go there, and they spend their whole lives doing that.
Wow.
So wonder can be a source of entanglement, and so could you say, well, could you give a few words on that?
Yes, that's very interesting.
How to...
So one wise person said, we perish not due to lack of wonders, like wonders of the world, but we perish due to lack of wonder, a sense of wonder. Just like a child. You can go outside of this temple right now on the way to breakfast, and you can see little children just having great delight smashing some autumn leaves, crunch under their feet. Wow, what fun, you know? Or when the ice comes, you know? At New Vrindaban, there's the ice season, right? And the old people are like, oh no, I don't know if I can deal with this. But the kids are like, oh, smash the ice on the puddle. Smash! You know, they don't even need to go to the Grand Canyon. They can just be fascinated, amazed, and in a sense of wonder, just smashing with their boot some ice on a mud puddle, you know? So it's a change of consciousness. So yeah, we can search the whole world, you know, looking for wonders, but that's not what impoverishes us. It's a sense of wonder, which we can find right here in this very moment. If I wake up to radical noticing, to be in awe of every moment, that Krishna's given me another breath. I woke up this morning. Krishna didn't owe it to me to give me another day in this world. Thank you, Krishna. He gave me another breath, another chance. So, nice point. Thank you. Anything else? Prabhu, you have something. You have something you want. Okay. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. All glories to New Vrindaban. All glories to Giri Govardhan and all the residents of Sri Vrindaban Dham. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.